Greetings, this is Tala Gazelle. The two most widely common mental health disorders, anxiety and depression, impact the majority of people's lives. And oftentimes, what happens is that when someone is dealing with both cases, when someone is anxiously depressed, it is important to be present in their lives, not just provide them with a solution or tell them things like, don't be depressed, be happy, or stop stressing, because it oftentimes doesn't work. You can't just tell someone who is suffering from a headache, for example, to just stop having a headache. It doesn't work like that. What they need the most is someone who is present with them throughout their tough times living and battling with this disorder, whether it's anxiety or whether it's depression. They need someone who listens to them, not only to sympathize with them. They don't need sympathy, they need empathy. There's a massive difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is looking down on someone and pitying them, saying, oh, look at this person, I feel bad for this person, but never actually being present with them. Whereas empathy is about being present with the person and experiencing the experiences that they go through, putting your own perspective and putting your own shoes in the place of that person and understanding what experiences they go through, what kind of experiences they go through, and help them with any objective form, helping them by being present with them and understanding their own experiences on a deeper scale without criticizing them, of course, because sympathy oftentimes leads on from a stance of judgment, from a stance of, oh, I feel bad for you, I pity you, and that's not the way things should go for you, but I can't directly help you. You see, sympathy comes from that standpoint, whereas empathy leans on towards compassion, and it's about being with the person consistently, checking up on the person consistently, being present, let alone only your presence can make a huge difference in a depressed person's life. A depressed person doesn't come to you and say, hey, I need a solution for this. No, what they're experiencing is something very real. A depressed person won't be like, hey, can you solve all of my problems? No, they want someone to listen, to understand them, to form a deep connection with. They don't come up to you and say, hey, I need a solution for my issues. They're not going to do that. And it's not for you to expect yourself to help them by being objectively helping them sort out what they're going through and their issues. Because the moment you sympathize with them and start giving them directions and solutions for their experiences, they're going to withdraw. They're not going to want to be around you. Since you are coming from a stance of judgment and not compassion. Anxiously depressed people, people who are suffering from both depression and anxiety, at first they need a listening ear, someone who listens in order to understand and not just to reply, not just someone who gives them directions or instructions in order to overcome such issues, but someone who can be present in their life and form a social connection, a consistent bond with which they can synchronize their hearts and minds over with someone who truly gets them, understands them. And I'm not just talking about consistency, I'm also talking about the quality of conversations. The quality of the conversations you have with that person play a significant role in how you view social interactions throughout time. Because, as we all might be aware of, social interactions play a significant role into how we view relationships and how we foster relationships. And when I say relationship, I don't only mean romantic relationships. That term, that word has been used countlessly to signify romantic ones, which is really not the case. There are many forms of relationship. The relationship can be the relationship you have, which is a friendship, the relationship you have with your mother, your father, your family, or anyone in the community and in your vicinity. If you wish to help someone battling with anxiety and depression, keep in mind that the quality of conversations you have and you share, as well as the consistency with which you communicate with that person, play a significant role into how they determine and choose to impact you. The sole experience of sharing simple activities with someone battling with anxiety, for example, like going to nature to hike out in the mountains, or simply sharing a movie with a person battling with depression, alleviates their struggles and aids them to becoming a better person themselves, because what they're going through is real and what they're experiencing is a common disorder which happens to a lot of people around the globe. It alleviates the tension they have within themselves. So, therefore, presence is the first step in helping the person in distress. There's this impression in society where it makes people suffering with certain mental health illnesses and disorders as if they're alienated. For example, I noticed the pattern where a lot of people tend to act as if nothing is wrong with them and they're completely fine. A lot of people, for example, tend to hide their true feelings from another person by saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm doing well, I'm doing fine." It's always, "I am fine," but really beneath the "I am fine, I'm good, I'm great, I feel amazing," beneath all of that is is a bottled up tension, a bottled up person, a person in distress, unable to express themselves authentically and say today if they actually had the worst day of their lives, they feel like they're unable to just signify and express themselves that they are actually having a terrible day, and there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself authentically. I believe we should open up more and more to people, and whoever you are talking to, you should just be honest with those in your community. Actually express what you are actually going through. And if they leave you, if you have a friend with which you expressed some of your burdens and they leave you the next day, or you don't receive contact from them, you no longer communicate just because you expressed something terrible which happened to you recently, let them go, because eventually you will find someone who truly understands you and someone who deeply leans onto their compassionate side. It's completely valid to say and express yourself that you're not fine. You shouldn't hide between your "I'm fine" mantra when you are in fact not actually fine. I understand there's always this fear to conform with everyone else simply because you don't want to seem like the odd one out, or you don't want to seem like you are behaving in a pessimistic manner towards your friends when you know deep down, in fact, that you are not that person. But it's totally valid, and I believe we should not feel shameful for simply expressing ourselves and sharing our utmost vulnerabilities. Of course, it depends on the level of trust you've formed with that person, that friend you have, or that family relative you've been sharing your problems with. It depends on the level of trust you have. Regardless, do not feel ashamed of expressing your mood, your authentic feelings, your authentic emotions with someone, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from, it doesn't matter. Of course, you decide on how much you choose to share of your personal life, but of course, everything forms within boundaries and trust. If you are not being honest with yourself, with the relationship you have with yourself and with others, if you are not honest with them, what you'll end up doing is that you'll end up bottling up your emotions, and then eventually it may backfire. The manner in which all bottled up emotions eventually ignite and backfire on you depends on every person's unique personality. They all have consequences. You have people who are dealing with their anger, they experience anger issues, and they burst out all of their frustrations onto the wrong person, and hence that's their manner of bursting out all of their frustrations and deeply rooted and bottled up emotions through their wrath. And then you have people who express their inner state and inner turmoil and all of that bottled up emotions through sadness, through crying, shedding tears, crying alone in the room. You have people who believe that the individual shows their true emotions through their anger or sadness. And this is not always inherently true. Why do they believe that? They believe that because they themselves are the ones who are bottling their own emotions, suppressing them, and then they feel like whenever they get angry and whenever they are sad, they unleash these true emotions that they have been bottling up, and hence why they believe that everyone else behaves the same, and this is not always true. It depends on every person's natural coping mechanism. Now, of course, I will elaborate on this concept of anxiety and depression through my projects, my upcoming film, Eclipse of Evanescence. I still have not forgotten about it, but it's been taking me quite a long time to make because it's not just a film in which you can passively watch. It's more of an interactive film where you can empathize and actually improve yourself through it, through the experiences. It covers all sorts of mental health illnesses, disorders, inner turmoils, kinds of intelligence, self awareness. So it really took me a long time to research into all of that and form it all together. Took me years, honestly. But regardless, I'm still working on it, and I can't wait until it actually finishes. The main concept is to raise mental health awareness on this channel and to amplify my message through my art. Of course, I won't only be releasing videos of me giving out speeches, but also embedding all of that through my art. This is Tala speaking, also known as Telurvia, and I will see you in the next video.